CHEK Podcasts.
This is Run For It. I'm Rob Reed.
Mariah Kelly.
Sasha Prawn here. So what's this podcast about, Rob?
Well, I don't know. We're calling it Run For It. And for me, I sort of think that it's about mental health and our physical health, and it brings in performances of athletes. We've got some amazing athletes in Victoria. It's sort of ground zero of running this whole island. But this podcast is traveling further away, so maybe we'll hear from some of the listeners of the running environment that they're in. But, just building confidence, self-esteem through an activity, and then, giving back as we all have participated in that to charity. But, like any sport, like any activity, it basically builds a lot of community. So that's really important. So, Mariah, you're not that old compared to some of us sitting here. How did you get started running?
Well, I didn't start super young. I always loved being outdoors, and I always loved kind of being active. I grew up around boys, so
okay.
Beating boys was always the goal, because it was always...
Or running away from boys?
No, beating them.
Beating
them. Not beating on them, although
Gotcha.
sometimes I thought about that. But beating them, because boys take that hard. They don't like being beat by girls. No, especially at a young age.
Yeah.
But it was always fun for me.
But you didn't grow up on Vancouver Island.
No, I grew up in Ontario, similar to my friend Rob over there.
We have imports.
Yeah. And running wasn't very big in Niagara Falls, but the local track club, it was small, it had a few people. And as soon as I joined, it only took me a year to make it to the provincial level, which was OFSA. And then it was like a year of training, and I was making OFSA finals, and I was making Canadian national finals. And then I thought, well, let's see how good I can get at this, because I really liked running.
You were quick twitch.
Yeah, very quick twitch. I was very focused on the 800 at the time and very focused on the 400. I wasn't super fast, but I loved the hybrid that the 800 brought, like both aerobic strength and anaerobic capabilities. And my mom was also a runner when she was in high school. She was kind of like a phenom. Back in the day, she ran like 2:16 in grade 9.
Wow. Okay. So your mom was like a real mentor for you then, maybe.
Yeah. Well, you know what? She forgot what she had ran in high school, and she told me she ran 1:57. So I went around not knowing how fast that was, telling everyone, like, I'm going to run faster than my mom. My mom ran 1:57. And I told this to my track coach, and my track coach was like, who's your mom?
Yeah, really?
Because, the Canadian record was not even 1:57.
Wow.
So he's probably thinking, like, I'm born into this European family, which I was, but my mom was Canadian. So anyways, that was when that whole farce came out that my mom had totally given me the wrong time. So that was a wide awakening for me. But yeah, and after that, it was just about kind of deciding where I wanted to go. And at the time, the Canadian system wasn't as competitive as it is now, and there wasn't as much opportunity there. I looked at Guelph, but kind of decided against it, mostly because I wanted to get away from winter. I really hated training in the snow, especially as a 800-meter focused lady. So I kind of just searched out all the top 50 schools in North America and made myself a profile, and basically kind of emailed them and said, hey, like, if you're looking for your next thoroughbred, this is it.
I run fast.
Can understand that, eh?
Yeah. So
you chose?
I chose Baylor University in Texas.
In Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And at the time, it was called Quarter Mile U because, Michael Johnson had come from there, Jeremy Warner, Sonia Richards was currently training there. So all Olympic champions, Olympic world record holders. Right. And actually, I think it was 2008, like 3 of the 4 people on the 4x4 relay were from Baylor.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was very, very good in the 400. And I thought, well, that's where I want to be.
So you're immersed. So was it hard getting used to, well, not just a new school, but a new country and new state and all that? Did you have to pick up an accent or anything down there? What happened?
You know what? I thought, like, I was always in love with country music and the whole country lifestyle.
Right.
People don't like country music in Texas for the most part. You get there and then it's like nobody likes country music. I was like, well, this is such a disappointment.
Oh, everybody
no
likes
line dancing.
Yeah.
And runners wanting to have goals or peaking in training. So were you peaking for the fall for cross country and then track
Yeah.
in the spring, summer sort of thing? Was that the idea?
Well, so we would peak in the fall for the November NCAA championships, and then we would start training again to peak in March for the indoor NCAA championships, and then we would train and compete again to compete in June for the NCAA outdoor championships. So 3 rounds of championships.
And then you just sort of like float in a lake in July or something and relax?
Yeah, I honestly, besides my last couple years, I never competed after June because it was just like a lot, a tall order.
Right.
There was a point actually where we were literally racing long runs. Like I remember at one point we were running like very low 6 minutes for like 13-mile long runs. And it was just like we would race.
Yeah.
We would just race.
Yeah, you had some of your best times during the training.
Yeah,
There you go.
we really
Typical
did.
runners.
We really did. We
Yeah.
really did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had some. I would consider myself. What would they call it? A glorified workout champion. I would do the craziest workouts. Yeah.
What about you, Rob? What's your story? How did you
Well,
start?
you don't want that.
You're a marathon champion.
No. Just when nobody showed up.
I'm pretty sure everyone has to share their story.
Yeah, that's true. You know, I think about, it's 35 years since I came out here with the clothes in my car to start the store. So it's sort of interesting just sort of looking back, being it's an anniversary month coming up. And but as far as running goes, it has become my hobby, my job, and basically, a big part of what community means to me. But in a lot of ways, it was basically because I sort of had a bit of a tough first number of years growing up after my dad had a genetic heart defect, and when I was 6, I remember saying goodbye to him as they took him into the surgery and he passed away. He didn't make it through the open heart. It was a new thing back then. And back then in the 60s, doctors were promoting smoking and all kinds of stuff. I had some ups and downs early on. And so I think health, became maybe a priority later on for me. And then fast forward to I'll go to any university that'll take me sort of thing when I decided to pick a university. And luckily I picked the University of Western Ontario in London, Ontario.
Were you already running prior to?
Well, I was being dragged out for runs by some guys at high school. They figured, because what happened was, it's sort of under somatotyping body types. I went out for football because everybody in Ontario is supposed to play football, or, Canadians play hockey.
Oh, yeah.
So, I played basketball, I tried football, but I broke too easily. I did not like,
You do look a little frail.
There you go. Thank you. I'm just getting the sand out of my eyes from being on the beach last weekend. So a guy came up to me and said, and this is a line that another runner of mine usually talks about because he went through the same thing. And, the guy said, "Come on out for cross country." And I said, "Well, what's that?" I said, "Is there tackling?" And he says, "No." And I said, "Okay, I'll do cross country."
You must have got smoked in that first football practice.
So so I started going out for cross country, but I didn't really train much. I would just go out and run the, district championships or the, provincials and things. And I didn't do all that great, but I could sort of see the winners up ahead of me. But then fast forward to university, and I didn't have a sport, though I was doing a physical education program then. I didn't really have a sport that I specialized in, because I just wasn't, some of us just don't have the genes to be really great at just one thing. So I thought, I'll lace up my Chuck Taylor basketball shoes, and maybe this group that meets at the phys ed building at noon will let me go for a 4-mile run. So I started running with these guys every day for 4 miles, and then they said, "Geez, we're starting training next month. You might as well train with us." So I started training with them next month. And then I said, "What are you training for?" And they said, "Well, there's this little run in Boston we do." So I went from 0 to Boston Marathon and sort of got addicted to marathoning. So
oh my God. You ran your first marathon off 4-mile runs?
you can do, no. We built it up on the weekends.
I was
We built
like,
it up on the
wow.
weekends. Yeah. Well, in your 20s, you can do almost anything, right?
So
That's
you were
true.
in university, you started really running.
That's when I started training, I would say, right? So, and then, training for Boston and dealing with injuries, but actually getting on top of the training and understanding what to do so that you build that nice base. So you can do those, 20-mile runs every weekend, just to build up your base, that sort of thing, right, for marathoning. So I sort of, and maybe being a little ADHD or something, I liked that routine was really good for me, that running. And that's, again, why Run For It is so important, in the sense that running makes such a difference for our routine, our mental health, and we haven't even said the word endorphins yet. So, some of us needed those endorphins. It's like, I used to say, people say, Rob, come on for a coffee. And I go, I can't have a coffee. I'll get too much done later, right? But the endorphins have the same effect. So,
yeah, you need an anti-coffee.
So it's been a good thing. So I was really lucky that, Coach Gonzer got me into marathoning, and then I followed the U-Hauls out west and ended up in Calgary teaching, and then running races out that way and finishing maybe the races first. I remember the first marathon I ran in Calgary, it was freezing rain, 0 degrees, end of May, and I finished it, and I was the first one, I guess, that finished it that day. And they said, that's amazing, you finished the marathon first. And I go, I can't be out there for 3-4 hours. Those people are amazing. I can't understand this.
But marathons were quite a bit smaller back in the day.
They were,
right?
yes. So, yeah, it's amazing how it's grown. So there would have been, like maybe 600-700 at the most, in those races. Calgary actually had the oldest marathon in Canada at the time, as opposed to around the Bay in Ontario that had the longest road, or the oldest road race in North America, pretty much. So anyway, so it was fun getting into the sport, and then it just became your lifestyle, as a lot of us know, right?
Marathons leave me in awe, man. Like 42K. It's just insane.
Well, if we take that 157 or whatever you could do and just, go times how many.
If I had run 157, oh boy.
So that's where I was coming from. And then I decided, maybe I'll do something running related. And that's where I thought maybe retail. I think Irish heritage, you can be good retailers. You got the gift of gab and stuff.
I
anyway.
Can't say that's true.
No,
because
you can't.
I'm Irish and I'm
there you
not
go.
good at
Oh,
retail.
So I started looking at stores in Calgary, and then I got tackled by a football player named John Frisani that ended up owning CHEK.
Wow, I love how football has been consistently
it's following
in your
me, even
life.
though I'm running away from it. I'm running for it there. But anyway, so John had me start a store for him, so I did that for 6 years in Calgary, and then I decided to partner and move out to Victoria with a guy that had a store. So no, not CHEK. And then we started Forerunners, which is a Vancouver-based store, with Peter Butler, who was one of Canada's top marathoners at the time. And then I bought Peter out when we opened up the Victoria store and carried on with establishing the business. So
why'd you change the name?
Well, because that was the name of the store in Vancouver, and I was separating myself and starting a new company. So you want to have a new working
front
title.
runners instead of forerunners.
Yeah, it's pretty close, eh?
And that's like
were you a front runner? I wanted to always ask you that.
Well, I won. No, not always. And there's a lot of
But did you like to
around.
run in the front? Like, did you like to get out in the front?
Well, I think most runners are like that. Even Buster, my dog, we were down in Palm Desert running in a 5K, and he decided they had a canine division, so he wanted to run to the front of the pack.
He left you?
I couldn't keep up. No, I was holding onto the leash. So, and that's what I need to do now to stay to the front of the pack. I need Buster sort of leading the way.
Mush.
But it was great. I was very fortunate that I ran a lot of reasonable marathon times, not Olympic level like yourself, sort of thing as far as running goes. But I was running, low 220s and that sort of thing. That's the great thing about this sport, this activity, and that's why I think Run For It as a podcast is important, because there's just so many more people running these days. And I think back to 35 years driving to Victoria, and not seeing that many people, and people would slow down and still say, do you need a ride? What are you doing running? So, it's really changed over the years.
Yeah, running's not just for the Olympians, it's for everybody. So.
Why is it for you?
What is it for me?
Because you look like a hockey player to me. Were you a hockey player?
I was a hockey player. I
Wow,
don't even know
how
why
Canadian.
I'm here on this running podcast.
You know why you're on the running podcast.
Yeah.
But my story's a little different.
Yeah.
I actually didn't start really running until 2 years ago. So
Wow.
I grew up playing hockey from a young age. And
How Canadian of you.
yeah, from 5, and then I did the whole university thing. Went to university.
And you grew up though where?
Where'd you go to university?
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt you.
I grew up mostly here. I was born in Quebec, military family. My dad is in the Navy. He's been an officer for 30 years, and so we moved around a bit when we were younger, but we ended up making home base here in Victoria.
Okay.
And so we grew up from grade 3 to graduation, and there was a lot of running at that time here, when I was younger, there was a lot of cross country and
Yeah, what
track
year
and
was that?
field.
Because I'm, a lot older.
Yeah,
And for me, it just seems like yesterday. But what year are you saying would that be roughly?
probably in the 2008, 2006.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I was thinking 1989 or something. Oh, okay, 2000. Okay.
No, so
I
I
wasn't
was
even born
Yeah,
yet.
I know. Sorry. Yeah.
running cross country when I was younger and
Right.
doing track stuff, and I was pretty athletic, playing a bunch of different sports, volleyball, basketball, anything. I'm very much energetic,
Mhm.
like
Right.
all of us sitting
Mhm.
here.
Right. Okay.
So, but I ended up taking up hockey more seriously by the time grade 7 or 8 came around, and then played some junior hockey, Bellingham, Kamloops, and then went off to University of Missouri State, go Bears, and played some more hockey there. And I've always been called back to Victoria. My mom is Indigenous from the island, Kwakwakiwak, so from the North Island, Alert Bay. Learned a lot of culture here in Victoria growing up, going to the Mungo Martin house and practicing dancing and singing, and so when I was 17, I'd left, and so I felt always like I needed to come back to catch up on what I've missed. So I came back when I was about 25 and 24, and so only a few years ago. And then the news about the Kamloops Residential School came out at 215
Right.
unmarked graves, and so that really was a moment in my life and my trajectory now that has led me here into this podcast room
Mhm.
and running. And
And that's how we met.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's how we met,
Yeah.
and that's how I introduced myself to Rob, and
And then me.
Mariah. Yeah, we all connected through that.
Mm.
Um,
And you did a fundraising ultra run, and that's a big part of running forward is running for a charity, for
Yeah.
instance. So you decided you needed to move forward, and I haven't even brought up the other Canadian named Terry Fox, but somebody that started something to raise money for cancer research. $850 million they've raised now with the Terry Fox Foundation. But you knew you were just moved, as athletes do feel that way. You got moved, and what did you end up accomplishing then with that run?
that year, 2020, it was in May. And I got off the couch. I decided, okay, that's it. I need to do something. My family went to residential school at Port Alberni, and so I decided I needed to do something. I needed to try and support them and survivors. So I started running, and I ran 215 kilometers in 2 weeks. And then I organized a 216th kilometer from Fisherman's Wharf for everybody to join in with me, and we did a march to the legislature, and I'd invited the Kwakwakiwak, Nuu-Chah-Nulth, and Lekwungen, Songhees, and Esquimalt, the 3 big nations of the island, to come and do a memorial at the legislature.
Right.
And there we saw a lot of teddy bears, and
Right.
we all danced and sang and came together to remember and to mourn.
Yeah.
All come together.
And that was
so-
a great gathering. That was
Mhm.
really just a really picturesque, colorful, but big memorial, gathering. And Canada did like a big shift around that time. In so many ways, right? I think, and it's too bad that a tragedy, moves us forward in the right direction. But that sort of did happen.
Yeah, so that's why I started running in the first place, and I thought it was a good place for me to do some healing and bring other people together, other young people like me, Indigenous people like me, to come together and run and kind of shed some of that
Baggage.
and some of that weight of because growing up I wasn't taught too much about residential school and my family's experience. So when that news came out, it was really shocking, and it really confirmed that how much abuse happened there. And
Yeah. And I mean, that's, some of us build a business, we build our mileage for a performance or for an event, and we want to build and give back. Like it's all sort of, make work project, but it's all moving our community in the right direction in so many ways, which we'll have stories about that as we move forward.
I think something that has been pretty clear today is that running for all of us was an outlet to release sort of stress and pain. And it's funny how running, which can be so painful, can be an outlet for pain.
Very good.
So I think just centering around health and wellness and how that running can help direct you in a better path in life is going to be the forefront of all the topics we covered.
Right. Yeah, holistic health of how each individual includes running in their rituals or habits.
Yeah.
To increase health and awareness of oneself and how we connect to each other in this world. Running is a great way to do that.
Yeah, and think of the indigenous, people down in South America, and we think about the running, from games to, just transporting messages everywhere and things like that. Like and the importance of being in nature, which we'll get into trail running and how big that is, right? So, it's like we're catching up to the indigenousness of running to a degree,
and
I
running
think
used to be a tool, right?
There you go. So I think that's what's happening with everybody in North America, and that's why we're going through such a big running boom these days, sort of thing. And
well, running is for everyone. Everyone can access running. Exactly.
Yeah. Walking, running, and it's a matter of staying mobile, and that'll keep us, all moving in the right direction and staying healthy and making a difference. So, I think this is a great start. I'm really looking forward to hearing from that one person out there that maybe turned us on and found us. I think that'd be really great. and I got to thank you, Sasha, and Mariah for call the win Mariah. You're so fast. And we all like to emulate you, sort of thing, as far as our training goes and our quick twitch. Maybe we can get into some surgery here, and I can get some quick twitch muscle fibers.
I'll give you some of my hamstrings.
Yeah, so I can run like I did when I wasn't, 68 sort of thing, going on 70. All I can say is that as we lace up our shoes and you open the door and get out there, run
for
it.
Yes, thanks for being here.
The Run For It podcast is proudly presented by Frontrunners. With 3 locations in Victoria and 35 years of business, Frontrunners is proud to be your everyday run, walk, and movement store.